Hi Diamonds, you're welcome. If you're seeing this face for the first time, hi and welcome. I'm Diamond Mom. I film about motherhood, relationship, and lifestyle. Subscribe to this channel and stick around for more valuable videos. Today I'll be talking about something very important to us as women, especially married women. I've noticed this for a very long time, but I've never really paid attention to it or taken it to be something very important, something that every woman needs to put into consideration. This is about how our husbands have to pay for our actions, for our mistakes, how they have to be held accountable for the mistakes that we committed because we are married to them. Now, when we were still single, we could get away with everything we did, or we could be held accountable directly for whatever we did, whatever mistakes, if you fought, if you had any misunderstanding, or you did something wrong in general, you would be held directly accountable because you're single, of course, and maybe you're far away from your parents, so you're the one that is directly responsible for your mistakes. But being that we are now married, our husbands are the one that are being made accountable for our actions and our mistakes, such that when we err, when we do something wrong, when we say something wrong, or when we do something implicating our husband, take a larger blame, because they tend to see it like it's the head, is your covering. So for everything that you do, your husband is to blame, if not largely, but is partly to blame. And that's why we see a situation whereby a woman fights, or a woman gets into a misunderstanding with someone, or a woman does something wrong, like saying something wrong, and the husband will be held accountable for it. Like, I have seen, and I'm sure we've seen so many situations of this playing out. For example, a situation of where a woman is fighting with her fellow neighbors, and maybe the woman wounds the neighbor, she destroys something. Her husband will be held accountable and he will be made to pay for it. He would be blamed. In fact, he would be blamed for his wife's misbehavior. But that is not the situation when our husbands commit a mistake. When a married man, being single or married, when a married man does something wrong, when he says something wrong, or he fights outside, his wife is never to blame. His wife is never called upon to come and pay for the damage, or to ask her that why did you not hold your husband, or why did you did. So the man is made to face the music alone without implicating the wife. He is made to be responsible, to be accountable for his mistakes. And that brings me to the point where I have to say that women, especially the married ones, we have to be very careful. We need to know that we are under someone now, and that we are not 100% independent on our own. Thereby, anything you do is either bringing respect or disrespect to your husband. Yes, for everything you do, there is a reaction, and is either that reaction is geared towards bringing respect to your husband or geared towards bringing disrespect to your husband. And that is why it seems as if everyone is always pointing finger at the woman, for you to have a noble character, for you to be homely, for you to be feminine in general. Like, that is the word, for you to be feminine, because if she unleashes her feminine qualities, she would be gentle, she would be calm, she would be empathetic, she would be emotionally intelligent. She knows when to speak and when not to speak. Of course, she is assertive, but she knows the best time to be assertive, and she knows what to do so as not to bring shame to herself and her husband, because you know that anything you do has a direct impact on your family, and by your family I mean on your husband and your children. Because as married women, whatever we do is being pointed to our husbands and our children, and that's why we need to be very much careful. I've seen women with very loose characters. Yes, married women, if they were still single, this could have been excused. Of course, we see young girls fight on the streets, young girls gossip. If this young girl lives in a compound and she always comes out to gossip with her neighbors and all those things, that can be excusable. That can be, excused because she's a young girl. And in the process of that gossip, in the process of that whiling away your time, gossiping, looking for trouble where there should be none in the first place, and this young girl gets into any problem or any trouble, she will be held responsible, she will be held accountable, she will be made to face the music alone. But in a situation whereby a married woman is the principal actor in this gossip, and in the process of gossiping or trying to socialize when she's not supposed to do so, or in the wrong way, when she's trying to socialize in the wrong way, and she lands herself into trouble, now she would not be made to be 100% accountable for her mistakes or for the trouble that she has landed herself in. The husband would have to come in to answer some questions. And in most times, if it has gone so very, very bad, if the damage has gone beyond what we would call minimal damage, the husband will be made to come and sign some undertaking and, to promise that he would keep his wife in check. Now, keeping an adult in check. Now, that's because this is a married woman. I'm sure we've seen so many of this kind of married women around us. Even on social media, women, we need to learn how to curb our tongues. We need to know when to speak. Because whatever you say affects your family. Whatever you say, the effects would be felt by your husband. Recently on social media, I'm a Nigerian, and in Nigeria recently, in the eastern part of Nigeria, last month, a lady on Facebook made a post giving a honest review about a tomato paste that she used, about how she's dissatisfied with that product, and asking people if they also have the same experience. Now, she goes on further in her comment section to make mention of how this tomato paste, she insinuated it directly and indirectly that this tomato paste might be killing people. That is, if it has not even killed people. So, that post that she made actually landed her in the police station, because the company that she made that slander against, the part of the products killing people, the company took it up and they arrested her, for slandering their products, because their products have never killed people. And the product in question is not a tomato paste, it is a tomato mix, and that is why the taste is different. Now, they actually arrested this woman, and in the process of getting her released and settling everything, her husband was implicated. Her husband had to come in, sign some things, sign here and there, and had to promise that, okay, his wife that is seconding, it's a lot. But that would not have been the case if it was the man, himself that made that post. The man would have been arrested, and the wife doesn't even have to come and sign anything for him, because it will be made to face the effects of his actions 100%. He will be 100% accountable for his actions. But because this is a married woman, the husband had to come in to clean her mess, the mess she created for herself. And I've seen a lot of these, even around me on social media. I've seen so many women, just come online and spew nonsense and spew so much hatred, so much hate speech. And the husband will have to come, and write a letter, reducing the man, bringing the man so much disrespect. Because if you, as a married woman, you are exposing your husband in that manner, making him to come and settle issues that normally should not have been there. I mean, you're exposing your husband to so much disrespect. And when people start to disrespect your husband, or to, to look at him in that light, I don't think you should feel bad, because you caused this initially. Married women need to do better. We need to sit up. I don't know if when you were single, you were fond of, gossiping, sitting around the street, everybody knows you in that area, that they agree, or, something like that. But I mean, getting married should actually create a certain amount of change in a woman. Getting married should make you to know that, okay, I should be more responsible, because now I know that whatever I do has an effect on my marriage, on my husband especially. Whatever I do, it is the way I carry myself, the way I present myself, the way I behave in public determines how people would also address my husband, determines the kind of respect that people would give to my husband. And so I need to be conscious I need to be reserved when I need to. Of course, you should be assertive, but you should know that wisdom is profitable to direct. You should know when to be assertive. You should know when to be reserved. You should know when to be comported. You should know very well as not to involve yourself in cheap talks or talks that might implicate you, especially on the social media. You should not just come, and then post everything for posting sake, and you'll be like, everything is content. No, everything is not content, especially now that people are made to take responsibility for whatever they say or do. You might just get yourself into trouble and implicate your husband. Now, I'm sure you know the way social media people insult people. Now, you will be exposing your husband to so much insult. You will be exposing your husband to so much disrespect. And the same thing applies to when a woman, earns respect for herself and her husband. Because if you present yourself well, people would also see your husband in that light, and the respect that they accord to you is the same respect that will be accorded to your husband. As a married woman, decorum needs to be like a watchword for a married woman. Decorum, you should know when to involve in things. Also related to this is another aspect of decorum in married woman I want to point out, which I know most of you would disagree with me, but then it has to be said. I wouldn't understand why a married woman would give a single guy or a married man a 360 hug. Like, I would never understand why a married woman would do that. Okay, I can understand if this woman in question is single, and she sees her male friend, and she gets excited, she hugs him. I can excuse that. But a married woman doing the same thing now, the reaction is different, the action is different, because first of all, you are married, and that is a responsibility alone on you, urging you to be more reserved, urging you to exercise at least a little decorum. Even if you don't have so much decorum, a little decorum would be useful. A little decorum would go a long way. So it is wrong in my own view, it is wrong in my perspective for a married woman to see a male friend. I don't care how long you've not seen that person. I don't care the relationship you have with that person. If the person is not your brother, is not your father, not a relative, like, I don't see a reason why a married woman would see a young guy, or a married man, a man in general, and then you go on to jump on this man's body and you hug him. Even in the presence of your husband, little things matters. Little things like this can actually determine the way people see us and the way people take us. So we should not just neglect anything as being little, especially if you're a principled person, and someone who likes to be treated with so much respect, someone who wouldn't like to be disrespected. You should be careful of what you do. You should be careful of how you react in public, especially with the other sex. As a married woman, especially with other men, you should be careful. You want to be respected. You want to be, to be held in high esteem. You don't want to be disrespected or looked down upon. And you want that same respect to be extended to your husband. Then you should be careful in your action, even to the littlest thing that you do, to the tiniest thing that you do. You should be careful, because whatever you do determines the way people perceive you, determines whether people would respect you or they would start to lose the little respect they had for you. So we just need to be conscious at all times, taking into mind that for everything you do, your husband would be held accountable, and not only you would be held accountable, your husband will share in the responsibility for your actions and your mistakes. So we need to be conscious. Of course, mistakes can happen, but then let it not be something that you do every time that everybody knows you for. Like, everybody knows you in this street, you're a very troublesome person. Everybody knows you in this street that you're very uncouth. Everybody knows you in this street that you're very saucy, that is a bad reputation, because that same reputation would rub off on your husband, and people will start to look down on your husband, which I'm sure no woman wants anyone to look down on her husband. Even if you as the wife look down on your husband, you wouldn't want someone else to look down on your husband. So you should be careful to have a good reputation. You should be careful to build a good reputation, because it would rub off on your husband and your children. So I'm putting this video out there as a reminder and a means of encouragement to married women especially, and to singles also, because it's better you prepare for this ahead. It's better you know these things so that you don't commit the mistakes and then start worrying about the solution. Preventive measures are the best. So it's better, if you're watching this as a single person, don't just call this bluff and say, oh, it's been too much. No, because you wouldn't want to have to deal with mending a bad reputation that you caused by yourself, or mending the bad reputation that you have made your husband to have, maybe in the midst of your family members or your friends or your neighbors. So it's better you prevent these things. So I'm putting this video out there as a reminder. If you're guilty of this, then it's never too late, to take a turnaround and try to make things work. Try to be more conscious about your actions. Try to be more conscious about being respected, because if you want respect, then you have to earn it, you have to deserve it. For every honor comes with responsibility. So this video is just an encouragement out there for wives, for women to do better, and know that for everything you do as a married woman, your husband shares in the responsibility. So if you found this video useful, please give this video a thumbs up. Also share this video out to your friends, your sisters, your colleagues, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.